Hello, hello. Oh my goodness. Welcome to the Audacity Show. Wednesdays at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific with me, Stephanie Young. I am unbelievably honored that you would choose to spend some of your lunchtime or your getting ready time with me right here. Today, we are talking about the evolution of the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Indeed, that is what we were talking about. And I know that last week when we were live, I said that I was going to talk about um, what talking about fears and everything like that. I 100% know I was going to talk about that. And then after I was done being live last week and I started prepping for this week, I realized that I really wanted to talk about something totally different. And so I kind of pivoted. And so here we are talking about the history of the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup instead. But I wanted to say that I'm seriously so honored that you choose to spend some of your time on Wednesday here with me. I am unbelievably grateful. If you have never met me before and you are brand new and you're like, I didn't even know you were going to talk about something else, that's totally fine. Welcome to this week's live where we are once again going to talk about the evolution of the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. If you are watching live, I would love to know if you have a favorite version of a Reese's candy because there are a ton of different versions. And if you are watching on the replay, it is the same question. I would love to know what your favorite version of the Reese's candy is that you enjoy on a regular basis. Now, if you are allergic to peanut butter, I am unbelievably sorry that is not something that you get to enjoy on a regular basis. But I wanted to know if you have a favorite because it's super fun to learn these kinds of things. So I'm also just trying to get access because sometimes I don't see comments if I am not like in the place where the comments are. So I am checking all the places where comments can be seen. But I would love to know what your favorite version of the Reese's is so that we can chat about them because there are so many different kinds. And if you are new to this live, and if you're new to me, I support humans who are ready for wild success in their life to lessen the overwhelm so that they can make their dreams reality. And I do this with my audacious life strategy and coaching programs. And I also do this with my audacious decluttering programs because often if we start to declutter, it means that we also start to lean into having our dreams. So that is how I often work with people. But I am super thrilled and honored that you are here as we dive right in. So, again, our topic today is the evolution of the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. And I fell in love with this topic and fell in love because I actually really do love Reese's Peanut Butter Cups myself. I recently started a snack drawer for myself. And one of the things that I included was Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. And there's just something about it that is unbelievably delightful. And so for fun, I looked it up. Part of it is because I have ADHD and I tend to have like a little bit of hyper focused. It's something that I've spent a lot of time like researching and learning about and like how to handle like my ability to to delve into new topics and like research them and find things out about them. It's super fun and fascinating for me. And so I jumped into learning about Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. And when I jumped into learning about it, I remembered a TED talk that I had seen years ago about people who are considered multipotentialites, people who have multiple passions, multiple things in themselves that are potential for awesomeness. And so, as I was jumping into researching the peanut butter cup, it reminded me of that TED talk, which I shared yesterday. You can find that link on my business page, The Stephanie Young. But anyway, so I jumped in and I learned so much stuff about the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. And so again, if you are watching, I'd love to know what your favorite version is. But I wanted to give a little history about the peanut butter cup and then share with you why I think it is really cool because I think it actually pertains somewhat to our lives because indeed it's not just about having a delicious treat, which PS, you can 100% use Reese's in a ton of different ways, but I think the Reese's peanut butter cup can be a really good illustration of our own lives. So, first, the Reese's peanut butter cup um, sort of like pre-cup started in 1917 when HB Reese was working with Milton Hershey of the Hershey Company and like Hershey Park and all of those things. He was working at one of Milton Hershey's dairy farms. And then he later transitioned to work in one of their chocolate factories. So HB Reese worked at Hershey's before he even opened or started or even considered his own chocolate company. He started working for Hershey Company. And he was married. Him and his wife had 16 kids. They had a ton of kids. And so he worked very hard, sometimes multiple jobs, but he did one of his first jobs with his family was to work for the Hershey Company. And in 1919, the dairy farm that or the round barn facility that he worked for, one of the experimental places, it closed. And so he was left without a job in 1919 and was like, I'm not sure what to do. And so he opened his own R&R candy company just in his basement. So on his own, he thought, I'm going to become an entrepreneur and I'm going to open my own candy company and start making my own candy. And so he used the chocolate from Hershey's, like he purchased the chocolate from Hershey to start making his own candy. And just in his basement, and he named the candies that he created after his own kids. And he had many names to choose from because he had 16 kids. So he had tons of different options and ways to start fulfilling this entrepreneurial dream of having his own candy company. But sadly, his company failed. He didn't find wild success with the company that he had originally started in his basement. And so he ended up back at Hershey, back working there. And because of all of his hard work at Hershey, he ended up becoming foreman and being promoted to foreman. And because of his new position, HB Reese's new position as foreman with the Hershey Company, it enabled him to meet Milton Hershey, and they became incredibly good friends. And so not just was he able to like start at Hershey, leave because a building there closed and there was no longer a position, and then attempt to become an entrepreneur and not find wild success on his first venture, but he was able to come back to the company and find success as a foreman and then meet the owner of the Hershey Company, which not many people like nowadays tend to want to come back to a company that they've left. I don't hear of a ton of people that like to do that, but HB Reese was willing to come back and try. And then because of that, he became friends with Hershey. And then he started once again making and creating confections in the basement of his home. He decided to give it another try. And because he decided to give it another try and he just really dedicated himself to learning and exploring and experimenting and doing all of these things, he started to decide like, maybe I could make a go of this again. Initially when he had started, he was just doing like chocolate covered raisins and chocolate covered peanuts, which apparently back in like the 17s, the 19 teens, those weren't super popular confections. Now I know Raisinets is a thing. That's not one of his creations. But anyway, not to rabbit trail, but he started to make his creations, and he really believed in the power of quality and following procedures step by step. And because he had such a passion for quality, he decided that he wanted to again purchase the chocolate from Hershey. And because he was purchasing the chocolate from Hershey, and Milton Hershey had such a passion for quality himself, that really elevated the new confections that HB Reese was starting to make. And things ended up working better the second time around because he, instead of like the first time he wasn't really quite as dedicated. He wasn't really following the procedures. He was just kind of putting it out there and hoping for the best. This time he seemed to really be trying to follow good quality chocolate making. And so he he actually set up a company for himself, HB Reese Candy Company, in 1928. So it took years to build and do the thing he had initially wanted before the first venture failed, and then the second time he found the success. But he took the time and created the procedures, the step-by-step foundations to have the ability to create his company. And when he first created the peanut butter cup, and they were invented. They were also called a penny cup because they cost 1 penny each to the consumer. And I now we can't imagine only spending 1 penny on a Reese's peanut butter cup, but in 1928, that's all they cost, and so they were not just called the peanut butter cup, but they were called a penny cup, and so they became wildly popular in their time, and he was selling them to other retailers so they could have displays in their store, and they were candy that quickly became something that was very well loved, and even now today, it is one of the top 10 candies that's loved in America and even around the world. It's considered one of the top candies for like Halloween and Valentine's Day. The Reese's Cup now, here we are in 2022. We're basically 6 years away from the 100th anniversary of the Reese's Cup. And I wonder if HB Reese could see now this legacy that he's created, all this work that he put into this peanut butter cup that he wanted to have success. If he could see what it's become, I wonder how proud he would be because, it started in a basement and it started with a dream. It started with something that, could have actually seen failure a second time. And instead, it became something so amazing because of dedication and hard work and quality ingredients and following step by step instructions. And I'm sure you're like, okay, Stephanie, like all of this history lesson is like super great, but like, what on earth does this have to do with me? Like, why would I care so deeply about a Reese's cup? Like, yes, it's delicious. I get that. Obviously, like I could understand why you would say like working hard and sometimes we'll see failure and sometimes we'll see success. I can see how that would be important. But like, really, Stephanie, come on. Like, why are we talking about a Reese's cup? Friend, I get it. I totally get it. And what's really hit me this past week and why I decided that we were going to totally shift gears and instead of focusing on talking about fear and how to overcome fear, which is a topic I do love to talk about. And I love to talk about how when we overcome fears, it allows us to lean into living a more audacious life and having the dreams that we really want and seeing them come true. I realized that being an audacious person and having the audacity to chase after our dreams and being able to embrace having wild success means that you might also have to embrace having wild failure. And HB Reese experienced wild failure. The place where he was working closed and he was without a job. He had multiple kids and was having to figure out how to feed and clothe and house all of these children during the Great Depression and World Wars and a ton of horrifying things that happened throughout his lifetime and their family's lifetime. He worked multiple jobs to make ends meet and to keep them taken care of. And honestly, if you really delve into his history, his wife's family was wealthy, and without their help, he likely wouldn't have made it, and neither would their family. And so, because of their family and their community around them, they were able to succeed, but also because he was willing to experience failure and then willing to overcome that, he was also able to have unbelievable, wild success with his entrepreneurial journey and with his life, even. And so, when I was delving into this and like really looking into it, and I kept thinking, like, oh my goodness, like, we so often like hold ourselves back from having the ability to fail, learn from it, and then have the ability to have wild success. And I was like, oh my gosh, we should talk about this more. We should talk about how we are like holding ourselves back and not allowing ourselves the permission to have the wild success that we so often desire in our lives. And I kept thinking about what is it that holds us back from that? And yes, fear is a part of that, but it's often permission. And I think about how HB Reese must have been thinking about like, am I letting my family down? Am I letting myself down? Who am I letting down to like keep trying this? And yet he kept persisting and he kept trying. And because of that, we have this super delicious treat. But then he had amazing wild success, and not just success with one little tiny treat. Like, if you think about it, and this is a really fun fact. So, like, there are 63 Reese's candy products on the market. 63. So, like, what started out as a penny cup that sold for 1 cent, and again, these are super, like, delicious, wonderful treats that I love these. It's one of my favorite candies. I love chocolate and peanut butter together. I know tons of other people who do. But what started out as a 1 cent treat and, like, could have been a failure, but thankfully was a wild success. What started out as that has become 63 Reese's candy products. And every single version, I'm sure there were more varieties that probably didn't hit the market, because they were like, okay, this probably isn't going to work. But there are 63 varieties that have hit the market and have had success. So I want you to think about your life. I want you to think about all of the versions of you, every single one. And you don't have to go super far back if you don't want to. You could just think about maybe the last like 4 years or the last 5 years. There's melted chocolate all over my desk, you guys. This is so fun talking about chocolate. But think about all of the versions of you. And I'll share a little bit about some of the versions of me for fun. So I've worked in so many fields, and I remember having people be like, "Well, Stephanie, what do you want to do with your life? Like, what's the thing you want to do with your life? What's your calling?" That's like the number one question asked to high school seniors, like everywhere. And I wish they would stop asking that, because frankly, when you're 18, most people have no clue what they want to do with their life, or they think they know, and then they go to college or trade school and realize that that might not be it, because there's so much more to like life than just one thing. And that's why that TED Talk that I shared yesterday was so impactful to me. And when Emily called it Multipotentialite, it made me feel so alive, that it wasn't just one thing in me that had potential. It was multiple things that me and that had potential, and that it's multiple things in you that have potential, and it was multiple things in the Reese's company that had potential. That HB Reese made a candy that took off, and then the company saw multiple potentials in this candy, so much so that there are 63 products on the market from one single kind of candy. There are different, I'll get to it. But anyway, there are 63 varieties. And so I have, in my lifetime, I have cut fabric at Joann Fabrics. I have rolled burritos at Chipotle and loved it. I can still roll a mean burrito, and it is so much fun. I have supported scientists at a research facility and loved every minute of that, and experiencing what it is like to work for people who are in the scientific field. And it opened my eyes to so many amazing things. I have walked dogs and been fired from that job. I was not a success walking dogs. And it was not a fun feeling, but I was not a success at that, but it led me to something else. I have worked in the service industry at car dealerships. I have worked in property management, leasing apartments. I have seen failure in my life in career fields that I never thought I would go in, but thought I'll give it a try. And I saw success selling clothing with LuLaRoe, and it was a lot of fun. And I learned so much about myself and about merchandising and about customers and about customer service and about how to run a business. And it was amazing. And at the end of the day, I kept reminding myself and seeing that at the bottom layer of every single job I've ever worked, the number one thing that I loved was helping and serving people. And at the end of the day, what Reese's peanut butter cups have are chocolate and peanut butter. And so all the versions, except for a couple that have come out recently, There are 63 versions of this kind of candy, and what they all have in common, for the most part, are chocolate and peanut butter. So there are multiple versions of you out there. There might be 63 versions of you out there because you found passion for skateboarding, or you found passion for theater, or you found passion for baking, or you found passion for real estate, whatever it is that you found passion for and fell in love with, that became a new version of you that just added to the awesomeness of who you are. It didn't take away from what you had been in the past, it just added another awesome layer of who you are. And so you became an you added extra and you added more awesome. And because of those things, you grew and you changed and you learned more about yourself. And so you may have seen failure in the past, but it didn't hold you back from the wild success that you can have in the future. And so when you had the 63 versions of yourself, maybe you saw that like the size variation changed. Like maybe your weight fluctuated. Maybe there were new fillings. Okay, so maybe you learned how to do something really cool because you worked in the food industry. Or maybe you filled your brain with knowledge about how to play a new instrument, or you filled your brain and your soul with a passion for how to bake. Maybe there's a new coating. So maybe what you had a lot of fun with was deciding you wanted to have more tattoos, or getting a piercing, or changing your hair, or completely revamping your wardrobe. Or maybe your new coating was moving to an entirely new area and discovering who you are living in a new place. Maybe you have holiday edition versions of yourself, and the holiday edition you discovered that you have a passion for trying new things. Maybe there are bars or pieces. Whatever version of you that you've discovered along the way, it's just more of the multi potentialite human that you are, that started as this one version that you didn't know if it would find success or not. But you did. And you just became a new, awesome, exciting version. And so it's really fun and exciting to discover all of the new wonderful versions of yourself, but it can also be really scary. It can be so scary to go, I don't know what the next version is. I don't know if I'm going to see wild success in that next version. And that's okay. Yes, multiverse. It can be okay to not know. And one of the best ways to have a guiding hand or to step into that next version of yourself is to have somebody walk alongside with you to get to that version. And I remember when I was in my journey of figuring out who the next version of me was, I reached out to an expert and said, I need help. I need help figuring out what next version of me is, because right now I'm working a job that I like, but I don't love it anymore. And I know there's a passion inside of me that's getting like really bubbly and it's really excited. And I think this version of me wants to become like a nutrageous bar or something because it's kind of outrageous and I'm not sure what it is. And so I reached out to someone for help, and they said, hey, I'll walk along beside you and I'm going to hold the faith until you're ready to figure out what this version is. And so if you're sitting there going, Stephanie, oh my gosh, like I feel that. I feel this bubble in my soul of something that's like ready. I want that wild success. I want my dreams to come true. I'm ready for the next version of what my peanut butter cup is. I'm ready for all of those things, but I'm a little scared. I'm not really sure what to do. I feel like I have another thing that's potentially coming. Oh my gosh, friend, I'm right here. I'm right here. I would love to stand with you and hold that faith and be here to say, we've got this. We can do this together. This is such an exciting time, and it's okay to be scared, and it's okay to be excited, and it's okay to accept that, like, maybe there might be a little failure, but what if there's just wild, audacious, amazing success? Friend, if you're ready for that kind of wild, amazing, audacious success, let's talk. Let's talk about what it looks like to become the next new exciting 64th version of Reese's Cup You. And maybe I'll even send you some Reese's Cups too, because who doesn't want more Reese's Cups in their life? And if you're like, I don't even know how to start that conversation, you can literally drop in the chat Reese's Cup and we can chat. Or you can message me, or I can message you if you just leave a little like heart thing in the like blah blah. Like you can just like link the video and I'll find you. But like we can get this like chat started where you can say, I want to know what wild, audacious, successful me looks like. Can you help me? Yeah, I can help. I'm here and I'm ready. I'm ready to see how amazing and wonderful you look with wild, audacious, amazing success all up and down in your life. Thank you so, so much for joining me today, for spending part of your lunch or get ready time with me. It's such an honor. It's a joy to be with you every Wednesday at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, to share how you can have success in your life, how you can lessen overwhelm and embrace audacity to take your life from dream to reality anytime you want. Friend, I'm here and I'm ready to give you all the support that you need. Let me know. And I will see you next week where we might just talk about another kind of candy or fear or whatever gets my soul fired up, because chances are if my soul's fired up, yours is too. I will see you next week. Have an amazing, amazing Wednesday. Bye, friends.